20 years, including on the bench of the Superior Court in the state of California, and she joins me now. It's great to have you, Judge. We love hearing from you. So first, just set the stage for this. There was a sort of motion to show cause, right? The people, the district attorney's office wants to make the case affirmatively to the judge that Trump is right now violating his gag order. So what was the proceeding that started the hearing today?
So this was a criminal contempt hearing. The burden is on the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt every single element of criminal contempt, which is there's a valid order, Trump knew about the order, and he willfully violated it. So that was their burden today, and they absolutely met the burden by presenting all of these social media posts and website posts. And then you could see the judge getting very frustrated and almost losing it at a point because he was asking the defense, well, what is your defense to this? And here's what we got, Chris, and I'll put it to you in a riddle. When is a social media post not a social media post? The answer, when it's a repost. That is the ridiculous argument that the defense was giving to the judge. And they even went further to say, well, you didn't actually say repost in your gag order. This is just absurd. And I get it because they don't have a defense to this. So the judge smartly did not rule in anger and decided to make the decision to hold off when the judge could be more, calmer about everything. And my guess is that the judge will issue a written decision, so it's very clear. And I believe the judge will find Donald Trump in contempt.
So this point about, retweets are not endorsements of on reposting. I mean, what was crystal clear is that Trump thinks he's got some, incredibly clever way through the gag order, which is if he's just reposting people, even though, one of the points that the people made today is that one of the posts at issue where Donald Trump claimed to be reposting Jesse Waters, they are catching undercover liberal activists lying to the judge in order to get on the Trump jury was actually a hybrid of a quote and something that Trump himself added. But the point is, all of that doesn't matter, right? The idea that there's some repost loophole to the gag order, I'm not saying the jurors should fear for their lives if he's convicted. Someone else said that, and I just reposted it. Obviously, plainly, that's not going to fly.
Right. But Chris, that's what you do when you don't have a defense. You have to come up with something. That's what the lawyers are getting paid to do. And it was just absurd. There is no distinction. He posted on social media, and did it violate the order? Of course it did. So I anticipate that there were, at a minimum, he will receive a fine. And if I were to impose a fine on Donald Trump, I would make it clear that that fine cannot be paid by his donors or people that he asks money for. That has to come out of his pocket. It won't mean much, but it's some form of punishment. But the other part is the incarceration piece. Yeah. What's going to happen with that?
Well, let's keep going. I mean, I found it striking when the district attorney, Mr. Colangelo, I believe, said he appears to want that penalty. He's basically trying to get himself thrown in jail for some stunt reason. Yeah. What did you think about that?
I think that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. And some people say, well, he'll go to jail because then he could be a martyr. It doesn't matter. The question, there's two purposes in contempt. One is to punish, and the other is to deter future behavior. The fine is not going to deter, but incarceration will. So the question is, will the judge do it? And if I were the trial judge, yes, I would impose jail time. And I would stay the jail time, meaning you're not going to go to jail right now because that would delay the trial, which is what Donald Trump and his people want. But I would stay it, meaning I'm going to sentence you to whatever time I decide is appropriate, and I'm going to impose that sentence at the end of the trial, maybe while the jurors are deliberating. So there is nothing to prevent the judge from doing that.
That is really interesting. And you think, the deterrent effect, clearly, no one has had much luck deterring, right? I mean, this has been a constant theme here. I mean, even going down to the sort of merciless harassment that Judge Engoron's clerk was subjected to. It has been very difficult to contain him. Do you think, well, what do you expect? There will be a written order, right? He's not yet ruled, right? So we're still pending the order.
Right, but that decision has to come quickly because until the judge says Donald Trump, the behavior you've engaged in is unacceptable, then he'll continue to do it. So my guess, maybe it'll come down today. I hope the latest tomorrow. But what the judge has to make clear is basically this, and to the public, is that, we can put a man on the moon, we can control a man in the courtroom and outside the courtroom. And that's the message that has to come across. And we can. And I believe, I hope the judge will consider doing just that, saying, I'm going to, incarcerate you, and I'll watch your behavior throughout the rest of this trial, and I'll decide then how much time I'm going to give you.
Yes, this is not an unsolved problem out past the frontier of human knowledge, of making someone behave in a courtroom. Ladoris Cordell, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
Still to come, as the Trump trial continues, a look back 4 years to one of the most indelible moments of the entire Trump presidency. Our special series, Are You Better Off? Ahead.
I spend a lot of time thinking about dirt.
At 3 in the morning.
Any time of day. What people don't know is that not all dirt is the same. You need dirt with the right kind of nutrients.